Change and waiting is in the air. We've been waiting for our new pastor who will be with us next Sunday. Rebecca has just returned from her vacation and will come to the presbytery meeting on Tuesday. There are surprises to come. We will learn from her and she will learn from us. She will find out how we place the gospel message in our daily lives and in this community from the vantage point of this particular church. One of my duties this past year as being moderator of Presbytery has been to help at installations and ordinations. As such, I have met and been able to worship at other churches. That is due to the graciousness of this congregation and for Carol Sherwood in particular, finding guest pastors who would come. When I was not here, it could be that I was on vacation, but it also could have been that I was at another church, and I saw some things out there. In preparation this past week for an ordination, which will be on December 16th, at first I said, I'm busy. We have our choir special presentation of the Word. And then he goes, well, we don't have our worship service on a Sunday morning. So, guess what time they, at Northland Village, guess what time they have their service? They have it at 4:30 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon. That ordination will be ensconced within that specific worship service. As Christopher Romaine and I were planning the ordination part of the service, I said this: the ordination part of the service will flow from the sermon, so it needs to occur after that part of the service. There was silence. And more silence. And I said, Christopher, tell me what you're thinking. He goes, well, at this church, the pastor, Bo Womack, and the session have decided that they're not going to have any sermons during Advent. I said, okay, fair enough. Well, it won't flow from the sermon, but the word can be proclaimed in many different ways, just as it will be that morning from music. It can be proclaimed in so many different ways, and I will go and find out a different one. In 2 Samuel, the poetry is set as a last testament, with all the readers gathered around to hear what their king, who brought Zion back to glory, had to say before he died, King David. So we too, in 2018, are gathered and heard Janet read these words of a king who reigned around about 1000 BCE. This king spoke of the importance of the God and Rock of Israel, who continues the covenant. Within this faith journey, there are remarks about enemies who could only be kept away with implements like long bars or weapons. But the overarching tone is that of thanksgiving, of gratitude for the God of our mornings, the God who keeps all things secure and in order. On Thanksgiving morning, when we arose in this part of the world, we felt the freshness following a precious, gentle rain that woke up the birds, the desert mallow, the blue agave, the ceananthus with moisture so rare in our world. Verse 4 speaks to us with the poetry of one who rules over us, gleaming from the rain on the grassy land. We can imagine the joy because we experience it, the moisture from which we can live and breathe, along with the rabbits, deer, and raccoons. The depth of their king immortalized through those few poetic passages. Let's listen now to the Gospel, John 18, verses 33 through 37. Then Pilate entered the headquarters again, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you ask this on your own, or did others tell you about me?" Pilate replied, "I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." Pilate asked him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I'm a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." Words of wisdom, words of grace. Thanks be to God. John's Gospel for this Sunday deals with the question of kingdom as well. Are you the King of the Jews? This Gospel has a different viewpoint from the other Gospels. The trial is dealt with in depth, especially in comparison with the Synoptic Gospels. Pilate is revealed as the go-between between two groups of people. Pilate goes back and forth with Jesus, and Jesus, with his life in the balance, answers with a question. Yet he speaks of the kingdom, not specifically at that location. The kingdom is in truth, and all who listen to Jesus are in the truth. Pilate keeps asking, "Are you a king? Are you a king?" The next verse has Pilate wondering, what is truth? He had just been told, the kingdom of Jesus is not a worldly kingdom as seen in the current values and strata of his or our world. It is a place where justice shines and gleams on the land, the light that is mentioned in 2 Samuel. The writer of Revelation calls Jesus the ruler of the kings of the hearth, who made us to be a kingdom together. Jesus coming with the clouds. Every eye can take him in, and even though there were enemies, even they will see the light. The times, they are a-changin'. Presbyterians are looking at ministry in varied ways and forms, as seen in the 1001 new worshiping communities around our nation. As evidence from my interactions with other congregations, where worship looks quite different than this type of a service. The author Phyllis Tickle writes about this massive change in the book, The Great Emergence, How Christianity is Changing and Why. She lets us know that the Right Reverend Mark Dreyer, an Anglican bishop, states that Christianity looks very different about every 500 years or so. We can think of the time following Jesus as the first segment of Christianity. Then in the 6th century, the fall of the Roman Empire with Gregory the Great. Following that point in time, we get to 1054 CE with the Great Schism, where the Eastern and the Western Christian churches parted ways. 500 years later, the Protestant Reformation occurred. And now in our time, Tickle speaks of the Great Emergence. Within each period of time, there is a change in the existing structure and in the praxis, or the practice, custom, or doctrinal points. There has to be a gigantic rummage sale at those points in time, and we are going through one now. He states that the empowered structures of institutionalized Christianity at each of these 500-year points becomes intolerable and must be smashed apart in order that renewal and new growth may occur. When we had our rummage sale, we went through all of our belongings to see what was broken, what needed to be sent away to others, what parts of our lives needed more space. With our wildfires in our minds, as well as the smoke and prayers for each of the victims, we see our world through that lens. We will see this type of cleansing in the Sierras following our tumultuous firestorms. The pine cones, which are serotinous cones, those cones that must have heat in order for the resin to melt, so the cones will open up and dislodge their seeds. If we consider our California coast live oaks here on our campus, our beautiful trees which face Balboa, usually a fire only burns 0.5 to 0.8 inches into their bark. Of course, when there's lots of fuel on the forest floor due to no fires being allowed to be burnt, this intensifies the heat and produces more damage. Our oaks there can easily live 250 years and many more hundreds of years. So if we think of the life cycle of the Christian can see the need for the sale, for the tossing out of what is outdated, not needed, and over-establishment, to break up, resulting in a faith that is spreading like the seeds from the pine trees being tossed into the wind and landing and growing in a better space. We have been cleaning up this church for a few years, and I mean that pretty literally. This effort during Spiff Up Days allows us to actually find what we have and use what is helpful. Again, at one of the churches I visited this past year, one pastor told me that they are beginning to clean house. They will not keep relics unless they can be moved their ministry forward with them. Jesus the Christ reigns supreme. All is in order so that we can feel that knowledge within our bodies, our congregation, and our world. Change is necessary for progress to be made. Rebecca will come and help us move along, thinking about the next 10 years. We can start to toss out what is not needed and focus with the lens of a rummage sale held here annually and within the larger Christian church every 500 years, and be excited about the future.